Hey, I just wanted to show you what happens when you start getting rid of the black from the underpainting. Almost nothing is black in any picture. So make sure you're going back and getting rid of all the black. You saw in my picture that I was way too dark. So I'm just kind of going around scanning and lightening some of these values. And just by scanning and lowering values, you can really see how much more volume it has just by getting rid of those little bits of underpainting. We had to do darker because we were doing washes and we were trying to figure out where things are. But now basically the next step is to come around and get rid of everything that's black, including here, here. I started doing it in here and here just to start learning. Because you take a look at this. This is all gray. Even if your print is great quality, it's never going to be black, black, black. Darkest thing in here, always ask yourself, what's the biggest, what's the smallest, what's the roundest, what's the highest, what's the lowest in any still life or image or whatever. So I'm figuring out these shapes and their relationships, but you also want to figure out what's the darkest and the lightest. Darkest thing in this whole thing is there and there. Boom, that's it. Those are the only two places I might consider using almost pure black. And the only place I'd use white is right there. That little highlight. Maybe a little here. So think about it. It's almost all values. So if things are looking really flat, it just means you got to really get in there with different values. Even if you have to do it large at first. So I'm going to start covering some of these real quick. You can see just the little bit I just did. Whoops. I just made that line there. So I'm going to use that value to cover this black. You'll see by covering this, even if I move the drawing around, I have to come back later. By getting rid of that, I've already created volume. I also got rid of this. See how I've made that gray? And this, instead of leaving it black, I built up around it. But I'm still going to lighten that a little. Here, I switch the black to the gray, but I can't leave that line. If I leave that line, it'll stay flat. So I have more of a gray on here. And you have to like paint all of it all over it, but I'm just gradually doing that. And then I can change these values. Like this is my white again. Oops, that's not going to work. I used that for something else. We'll use gray over there later. But in here, like if I don't want to cover with black that way, I can go like this. I'll deal with the background later. But see how just getting rid of that black? Now I have volume. Now look at this thing. That is not good. That's sitting there making everything look flat. So instead of using black, just mix a dark gray and go right over that with the darkest gray, but not black. And it makes a huge difference. And try not to leave any residue. Just get a really dark gray. You can always go back later with your pops of strong value. But look how different, even if it's got mushy, it doesn't matter. Because and then here's some underpainting here. Just by coming in with different grays, we're starting to build volume. All these little bits of black, the little outline, we're getting rid of it. Now in here, I could take a big brush, or the biggest one I have, and start weaving in those dark grays without covering the whole black. Let me get some dark gray on here. Remember, everything dries darker. Now I'm exaggerating because I'm going to mix black into it. There's little squirglies that go up here. But this way I can go back and forth with the black well, not black, but I can either mix black into it or mix other dark grays into it. So I'm gonna go like this, pull this up and down, and just that little bit of coverage of that black starts to create a sense of volume. We'll be doing that again with our monochromatic study, because when you use pure black, sometimes it gets flat. And by integrating, in that case, a color, in this case, a value, we're able to soften the flatness of it. So I'm going to pull this into this. So we're weaving it in and getting almost to black, but not quite. But even these little bits of black showing through, they flatten things. And again, we can come back later and mix in darker values, but it's the lighter ones that we lose the quickest. I messed that up. But still, this is a very young stage of this painting. Very young. I mean, I'm still trying to get to know it. But I just wanted to show you how powerful that is by just getting rid of these little blacks, and you can come back later and change them to dark grays. But really, I mean, the strong darks are very few and far between. Very light gray. So I'm not there yet, I'm still lightening, but you can really see how I'm getting rid of all the too darks. Even this now might be too dark because I got to weave in those little strands of things there. But all of this is still too dark. The edges are okay, but so I'm starting to slowly get these value relationships and figure out where I can blend and where I can do hard edge. And in mine, the only background is this light gray that I'll deal with later. But I think that's enough for now. Just kind of keep building, take your time, take a look, keep lightening those values. We're at a stage where you just want to get coverage and practice. It's going to end up looking great. We just don't have to rush to get there. Every time you look at your picture and look at your painting, keep going, okay, what's on, what's working, what's not, what's wrong, what's off, and what do I need to work on next time? So that's the strategy.